It's time for Second Half Now with Dr. Dan Critchett, a radio show for boomers and beyonders. Tools and tips for the life you want to live from now on.
Hello and welcome to the show. Again, I'm Dan Critchett, the host of this program, and happy to have you on board today. Just a brief introduction about myself, so you have an idea where I'm coming from. A long-time career as a pastor, the privileges that I've had as a pastor, a fire department chaplain. I serve on the adjunct faculty at Concordia University here in the Portland area. And I've also spent a number of years servicing in a funeral home business as a family service counselor, meeting with families when the need has already occurred and there's a need for support and taking care of some business, some decisions that they need to do, and also helping families with prearranging. In fact, in studio today, a little bit later in the program, we have a guest from Dignity Memorial, and we'll talk about some of those issues having to do with planning ahead, funeral planning. So the goal of this show is to help us, you and me, who are in the second half of life, to deal with the changes and challenges of life. And here we are, we're past 50, we're looking at the second half of life. Wherever we are on that age continuum, there's a lot of things that we need to do, a lot of things that we need to take care of. We want to live a life that is purposeful, a life that is filled with the good things that God has in store for us. Boomers and Beyonders, this is the boomer generation, are those who were born between 1946 and 1964. And this just happens to be this year, 2014, the youngest of the baby boomers will turn 50 this year. In fact, today, this very day, 10,000 of our generation will turn 50 today. So, and this goes on for another about 15 years. There's 76 million of us, so it's time that we address some of the issues about being ready and doing the kinds of things that are going to make our life count, make it meaningful, fulfilling, and purposeful. On this show, as you tune in week by week during this time, 5:30 on Mondays, I'm going to be covering various topics. I've got 5 topic areas. Now, I'm not the expert on these topic areas, but I want to bring in guests and those who can help bring their expertise and their experience to the topic areas. So the 5 topic areas we're going to be covering through the course of the next many programs. Number 1, home and family. And for this particular day, since this program is airing the Monday before Father's Day, at the end of this show, I want to have a few thoughts and comments from a pastor's point of view regarding Father's Day. So the first topic area was home and family. The second topic area is health and wellness. Third topic area is budget and finances. Fourth topic area is heart and soul, more of the spiritual dimensions of our life. And then the fifth topic area is work and mission. So I want to receive suggestions and requests for specific topics and for guests. I have a sizable network of people that I know that are actively involved in these different topic areas, and want to bring them into the studio either by phone or actually here in the studio to share with us and to share with our community about ways to address these topic areas in our everyday life. I'm also going to be having sponsors for the show that will be representing products and services in these topic areas, things that I feel comfortable referring to you as the listener out there, because we are looking for resources, we're looking for things, we're looking for the kinds of things that will help us live the life that we really want to live. And then we'll have topic discussions, and we can discuss any of the subtopics within these major topics, and we'll just have a great informational time of presenting things for us to think about, resources and helps to put in place for us. In fact, a couple of guests that I have already talked to, I haven't scheduled them yet, but they'll fit in over the next several weeks. One of the prospective guests is a life coach. I know a lot of folks have benefited greatly by having a life coach, and that is the coach that understands what it is you'd like to accomplish and then sets up a program with you, and there's a weekly call or a weekly meeting to help you stay on track and accomplish the things that are important and valuable and meaningful for you and for your life. Have another person coming in to talk about, this was a new term to me, about epigenetics. This is health and healing at the cellular level in the body. Has to do with the immune system, has to do with the overall health and wellness, and some fantastic and startling new research and some products and services that assist with this whole area of epigenetics. One of the features that I want to have on the show is a segment that I call Who Said That? We introduced this last time with the station manager, Paul. And the quote for today, I'm going to give you the quote and then I'll give you a few clues. The quote is this: "Put your shoes way under the bed at night, so you got to get on your knees in the morning. While you're down there, thank God for His grace and mercy and understanding." So I love the quote, and I found it in sort of an odd place, and it came from, this person is quoted, who is a Hollywood actor, director, and producer. That's the first clue. Now, that's not enough to go on, you wouldn't guess, but here's the second clue. This person that spoke those words was born December 28th, 1954 in Mount Vernon, New York, and is the son of a Pentecostal pastor. That also may not lead you to the person. I'll give you one more clue, and it is this. This person who said that about putting your shoes way under the bed in the morning so you got to start the morning on your knees is the first African-American actor to win Golden Globes since Sidney Poitier, and there was a 36-year span in between. On future shows, I'm going to spread this out a little bit and give a clue early in the show and then one part way through, and we'll kind of tease that to the end. Now, the person that said that, who said that, is Denzel Washington. And I read a great article about him, about he really is a man of the Bible and a man of prayer, a man of faith. I love his portrayal of various kinds of characters in the movies that he's done, and he's very good. I'm going to read the quote one more time. From Denzel Washington: "Put your shoes way under the bed at night, so you got to get it on your knees in the morning. And while you're down there, thank God for His grace and mercy and understanding." I like that. Next, we're going to have a guest in the studio here from Dignity Memorial. The guest name is Kim Morley. Kim is here. I've asked her to come to discuss a topic that no one wants to talk about. And you probably know what that is already. What is that topic, Kim, that no one wants to talk about? And why is it that we don't like talking about this subject?
Well, good afternoon. It's nice to be here with you, Dan. The topic that we're discussing is death, although I don't look at it that way. I look at it as discussing one more part of our lives that we need to be responsible for and take care of, and that is planning for our final arrangements. People, for some reason, don't like talking about this subject because it is a finality to what we do in our everyday lives. It means something will come to an end. And in my perspective, this is just one more part of life. It's just one more transition. And we've been responsible for transitions throughout our lives. Why are we not responsible for this one? We talk about our kids. We talk about marriages. We talk about retirement plans, college plans. All of those events in our lives are different transitional points. And from a very young age, we've been very responsible for seeing that those things are taken care of and discussed. And yet, we come to this final event, and no one wants to discuss it or make arrangements for it. That's what I talk about.
Good. Thank you. That's a great introduction. And what I'm picking up from that, and I've been experienced in this field as well. You and I have worked together, Kim, over the years with Dignity Memorial, and it is amazing that people plan vacations and they plan careers and they even put things in place in case something happens, in the sense of insurance and other various kinds of protections. There's no in case in this matter because it will happen. Death will occur. Life as we know it on this planet will end. And so Tell me why is it that people should talk about this, and how would they go about discussing the subject that Dignity Memorial takes care of?
Sure. There's 4 steps to setting up your arrangements. 3 of them don't cost you a dime. And the first one we're sitting here doing right now, and that's talking about it. You need to have this conversation with your family. Once that death occurs, those people that have had you to ask questions of and bounce ideas from, you're no longer there. And that's a void that cannot be filled any longer. So the first thing you need to do is have the conversation so they know what direction to turn. Second thing you can do is write it all down. I'll tell you a little story about myself. My mother died 15 years ago. And growing up, my mother told me what song she wanted played at her funeral. And being the good daughter I was, I didn't write it down. I said, that's way in the future. Let's talk about that later. Well, later came 15 years ago, and all I remember about her funeral arrangements and her funeral service was that 200 people were there to celebrate the life that she had lived, and I don't remember the song that was played. And that's something that it seems very small, it seems very trivial, but those are the things that will bother your family going forward. It's the little things, and those are the things you can help with today. Write them down. We come out and provide you with a book that you can do that. List your ideas, list the people you want contacted. It's a very, very important thing to do. The third step would be to put a plan in place, which we can talk about in a few minutes. And then the fourth step is to tell someone you did it. Don't hide the fact that you've made arrangements.
Tell me a little bit about that book that you were talking about, that where you can write your things down, your plans.
The book is called Our Pre-Planning Guide. And 24 hours within the time of a death occurring, there are approximately 100 questions that have to be answered by your family. It can be as major as, do you want to be cremated or buried? Do you want to have a service with a viewing? Or as small as what I've already talked about, and that is, what song do you want played? And all of those things can be written in one place. That book can then be put with your important papers, and then at the time, your family can just take that book out, hand it to the funeral director, and the majority of the information that you need is right there, right in front of them.
Great. Now, did you mention all 4 of the pieces of this pre-planning?
Yes, the 4 steps are, as I said, talk about it, write it down, support it, which would mean financially going in and setting something up, and then the 4th step is to tell your family you've done it.
Good. Okay, so I want to ask a little bit more about that support, or about the funding piece. But before I ask that question, I'd like to have you tell us what it is that you do with Dignity Memorial.
Sure. I am a pre-planning sales manager. I go out and I talk with the public with educational pieces. I do seminars, informational tables. We go out and we just tell the public what it is that they'll be expecting when the time comes, what it is they can do to plan for that time coming. Like you said before, we do plan for everything in our lives. We plan weddings. My goodness, we take 1.5 years to plan for a wedding. And a wedding is 100 of your closest friends and family coming to a celebration of a life. And a reception, we take 1.5 years. A funeral, you invite that same 100 friends to come and celebrate the life that you've lived. All those people that have been impacted. And we do it in 3 days. And it just doesn't make sense. So I go out and just talk to people about what it means to put plans in place.
Man, I know how important that is. Let me ask about, again, about the putting the plan in place, and then how that is secured, what the benefits are of doing that ahead of time, and how does the funding work?
Sure, there's a couple of ways to take care of that. By going in and talking with a funeral home or a cemetery, you can actually put your plans in place, not only in writing, but you can fund those. And what that means is you've frozen the price at today's price. And why wouldn't you want to do that instead of waiting for inflation 20 and 30 years from now? You can go ahead and freeze the price. You can make payments, which at the time of a death, you're no longer able to do. And by doing that, it gives you a lot more flexibility with how you set your arrangements up. It's a gift to your family. It really is. If you think about right now and today where your family is, if something were to happen to you today, is there someone in your family that not only emotionally can make these decisions, but financially can make these decisions? I know that when I lost my mother, we had kids in school. I had a house mortgage. I had one getting ready for college. that's just not something I wanted to write out of my checkbook that day. So plans in place really do benefit your family.
I've been picturing what would happen if I had not prearranged my own funeral plans. And what would happen is my kids would have to go to the funeral home and make all the decisions, and they'd have to pay for it then. And if they couldn't, then it would be my mom. And she would be stomping up to the funeral home, and she would be saying my name, Daniel, why didn't you do this? And I'd be in trouble. But then I'm dead.
Well, it goes back to the responsibility issue. You've been responsible for everything. And as you said, if your mother had to go up there and do it, the thought going through her head was, I thought I taught you to be a little bit more responsible about your affairs.
Right.
Why don't we do that?
Right. So you talked about freezing the price. I've done research in this field because just to say to our listeners that I have been in this business for quite a number of years, primarily as a family service counselor. So with a pastor's background, when I walk into a room where there's a family there that has lost a loved one, so the pastor part of me comes out, and I can be the compassionate caregiver at that time. But we also have to make some business decisions and make some arrangements and so forth. But part of the research in terms of freezing the price, why that's important, because in the cemetery side of things, the cemetery costs double every 10 years, give or take a few dollars. And the funeral costs increase by 60% every 10 years. So what that means, if you're looking at, let's just say, a $5,000 cemetery arrangement now, in 10 years it's going to be 10, and then 20,000, and then 40,000. It just keeps on doubling.
Correct. We've gone back. We've looked at the numbers from back in the 50s, and it's almost exactly what you said. It almost doubles exactly every 10 years. And to think about that going forward, my goodness, my kids, I would not want to leave that for them. So it's something to do.
So Dignity Memorial is a national brand. It's a company that owns over 2,000 funeral homes and cemeteries across the country. And I don't know that the brand Dignity Memorial is real well known in the Portland area, but our individual locations are well known. They are some of the best and some of the busiest in the area. Can you tell us some of the ones in the Portland area? Sure.
In the Portland area here, you may be very familiar with Lincoln Memorial Park up in the east side of town. We've got Skyline Memorial Gardens in the Northwest Hills, Finley Sunset on Sunset Highway there on the west side of town. And then as far as funeral homes, we have Gateway Little Chapel of the Chimes, Ross Hollywood, Zeller's Chapel of the Roses, Caldwell's. Those are all on the east side of Portland. On the west side, we have Young's Funeral Home in Tigard, Peg Paxton and Springer in Beaverton. And then we also have funeral homes in Vancouver, Salem, and Prineville. So we do stretch across a good part of the Oregon area, southern Washington, and then, like you said, we are 2,200 locations strong going across the country.
So it'd be safe to say that most or all of the Portland metro area is served by one or more of the locations that are with Dignity Memorial?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So is there anything else that our listeners should know? Our time is about up, but let's just wind down and mention a couple other things. Particularly what I'm hearing is freeze the price, make your plans, get a personal planning guide, and talk about it. Maybe mention those 4 steps again.
Again, the 4 steps are talking about it, and that is definitely the most important thing that you can do to start with, is to talk about it. Secondly, you want to write it down. Third, if there's any way to support that financially, to go ahead and set that up. And then fourth, it's to tell someone. We have people that walk through the doors every day that find paperwork in mom and dad's files from 5 and 6 years ago where mom and dad did the right thing and set it up. They just forgot to tell someone they did it. Mm-hmm. So you definitely want to tell somebody. And we, as a team, we feel that no one should walk through the doors of any funeral home unprepared and uneducated. So even if you just have somebody come out to talk to you or attend a seminar, you're going to benefit by it. You're going to learn something new that you didn't know in order to help you with that responsibility.
And the thing is, doing away with the notion that we don't want to talk about it. We really do need to face this and pre-plan and prepay, get it taken care of. It gives us peace of mind that we have protected our family members. One last thing, Kim, and that is regarding the funding. Let's talk just about the funeral plans. because Dignity Memorial has as their funding mechanism of choice is the insurance product. So tell a little bit about that, so that when a person sets their plan in place, they total it up, and then they have a premium payment as soon as they sign the application and make the first premium payment, and they are covered. The insurance covers them for the length of their payment period.
Correct. The insurance covers the amount of the funeral. So if you're making payments over 3 years or 5 years and something should happen to you in that time period, the insurance premium that you've been paying then takes care of the balance of the funeral and pays that off. And what a blessing that is to have. And you talked just briefly about the fact that it gives you peace of mind. This is something we don't want to think about, but once you think about it and once you've done it, you really don't have to think about it again. So do it once, take care of it, and then you can go on with your life without worrying.
And those premium payments are pretty manageable. They're pretty budget friendly, and you're covered entirely.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So great. Kim, it's been great to have you in here. Kim Morley with Dignity Memorial. And for more information, I'd like to have our listeners contact us at secondhalfnow.com, secondhalfnow.com, or an email to info@secondhalfnow.com. Just send me an email. We'll get you some more information. Thanks again, Kim. So on the show, each time, I'm going to take us back to a book that is one of the best-selling books of all time, a nonfiction book, and that is a book called The Purpose-Driven Life. And this is a book that was written some years ago, I think about 10 years ago now, by Pastor Rick Warren from Saddleback Church in Southern California. And this is a book that has transformed many lives. And the reason that I want to bring it out is because my experience a number of years ago, I had the privilege of leading a 40 Days of Purpose campaign at a significant church. And I learned there that people who attend the church, people who participate in the church's work, have a real significant sense of calling. And I was so pleased to see that. As a pastor myself, I'm sometimes thinking, well, I'm the one that cares most about the mission and ministry of the church. But I found that's really not so. That the people in the church, the people that are supportive of the work and ministry of the church, they really can come to a sense of calling and a sense of purpose. I want to say a couple of things about, just read a couple of quotes from the first chapter. The first chapter title is called, It All Starts with God. And these are some key quotes. It's not about you. That's the very first line of the book. It's not about you. And then Rick Warren goes on to say, the search for the purpose of life has puzzled people for thousands of years. That's because we typically begin at the wrong starting point, ourselves. We ask self-centered questions like, what do I want to be? What do I want to do with my life? What are my goals, my ambitions, my dreams for my future? But focusing on ourselves will never reveal our life's purpose. So that was a great quote from the first chapter. Next week, I'll bring a quote from the second chapter. What I want to do is finish this program by talking about Father's Day. Coming up a week from, it's from a week from yesterday, so just this coming Sunday. Now, what I want to say is I believe that Father's Day is a very significant time for us for celebration and reconciliation. We all have recollections and memories of a dad who was there or a dad who was not there. And so what I want to say, if you are able to engage in celebration regarding your dad, I think it's important for you to thank God for all the good you have in your life because of your dad. Memories that you have, lessons that he taught, the model that he was for you. And I'm thinking that on this Father's Day, if your dad is still living, it would be good for you to thank him. Thank him directly. Thank him personally. Whether it's sending a card or whether it's a phone call, whether it's a family gathering or a meal, take him out for coffee, take him out for pie, and whatever it could be. But to have that celebration. And when you do communicate this to your dad, your thanks for him, be specific. and let him know how God has worked in your life through him. And if your dad is not living, then spend time reflecting and praying and ask that God would continue to build in your life the example and the lessons and the models that your dad left for you. The other side of Father's Day is sometimes that you might need reconciliation. What I mean by that is if your thoughts of dad bring pain or bad memories or troubled times, it's really important that you take time on Father's Day to forgive him. It's not an act of your will, it's an act of your emotion. I'm saying that the other way around. It is an act of your will that you can forgive your father for what he did or what he didn't do, whatever that might be. It doesn't come from your emotional, it comes from your intention and from your will, an act of your will. And then you will experience real freedom. So as we look at Father's Day coming up Sunday, it's celebration or it's reconciliation. I encourage you to consider those things. So there's going to be some more information on the website, which is secondhalfnow.com. And you want to go there and look around. There's some different things that you can do. But the most important thing would be to sign up for a weekly program note and reminder. So because it's only a weekly show, you might need a reminder that 5:30 Monday is coming up again. And also we'll give you a clue about the topics and the guests and the things that we're going to be discussing. So that's all we have time for today on this version of Second Half Now, a radio show for boomers and beyonders. I'm glad you joined us today, and I hope that you'll make a practice of tuning us back in every Monday at 5:30 p.m. It's drive time. Maybe you turn on the car radio, or if you're already home, turn on the radio at home. You can also listen live on the internet, and you can download an app for your smartphone and listen to it that way. More information about that and all these other things as we continue. So signing off for now. Thanks for coming to the show, and we'll talk some more next time.